What's up, everyone? Welcome to another video. My name is Flip.
I'm Element.
And we're going to be talking about Carole and Tuesday.
Can you really love with a broken heart in the cold rain?
So I already did a review of this anime on my channel. Link will be in the description below. It was a very impromptu review. I had just finished part 1 of Carole and Tuesday, and I was like, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
And if you love music, you'll love this. And so you did. What were your first thoughts?
I was elegantly surprised.
Elegantly surprised.
Elegantly surprised. Does that make sense? Elegantly surprised. Elegantly surprised because we're just so used to watching epic, heroic stuff like recently Demon Slayer, Kengan, Baki. And this one is definitely different.
Yes, just, you know, a wholesome anime that you can enjoy that really doesn't like depend on epic climaxes, you know? It's just like a solid journey throughout.
What I loved most about it was that, you know, it really touched deep into
The soul.
the soul,
The heart.
the heart. If you ever had dreams of being a star, or if you're an aspiring musician, or if you just had dreams when you were young of doing something cool, especially music,
Yeah.
then this show is for you.
For me, it was just the love of music. And so now we're going to give you the 5 reasons why Carole and Tuesday is magical.
Magical.
So number 5 is obviously your dreams and what may come. Now, we touched upon this, you know, just recently
Just a little
about
bit.
how you have dreams and you know, your aspirations of becoming a musician or a songwriter. And this anime delivers in spades.
Yeah, and if you've ever seen the movie once, I might want to remind you, like, that was one of those movies where it was just down on their luck, you know, aspiring musicians meet another person, just like Carole and Tuesday, and then something magical happens. You know, they become one. Their connection becomes this magical experience where they start to produce music that starts to gain attention. And it's the same thing with Carole and Tuesday, right? Like, Tuesday runs away from home. She's an inspiring musician. She meets Carole on the bridge, and then they connect. And that emotional experience really kind of touches deep. It has an emotional connection to... I know I was an aspiring musician when I was...
We're all aspiring musicians.
aspiring to be something, right?
You know, as Filipinos, we start off being taught the guitar.
Karaoke, okay?
Yeah, we start out getting a guitar lesson from our dad or our family or uncles, and from there we're in this culture of like singing all the time with our karaoke and showing off for our family gatherings. Oh, you sing your songs, you know, anak, you sing your songs.
Oy,
But
ikaw na sing.
yeah, so we're used to that part, and we definitely have a lot of musical muscles in our DNA.
Yes.
And so that love of music brought me into this anime clearly, and it inspired me just because their journey is very relatable.
Yes. And it's not only relatable, it's also heartwarming.
Yes.
It's heartwarming because it fills your soul up, right? It kind of makes you root for them in a way that you want some success, you want them to gain stardom, the same way you've dreamt of having it yourself.
Yeah, and it also is further reinforced by the fact that their music is good.
It's actually really good.
The first time you hear them sing, first of all, if you're watching this in sub, you're not expecting this, but the first time they sing and they're singing from like English, like an English speaking voice, it just like, it catches you off guard. Honestly, I didn't think there was too much of a disconnect, but I thought it would have, you know, blended well.
I thought it blended well. I thought it was very seamless. I am a sub kind of guy, so I watch it in its original Japanese language, but then when it switched to English and the musical part of it, I was pleasantly surprised. I was elegantly surprised.
Absolutely.
And actually, jumping off to the musical element of this is reason number 4. Music is at the heart of this piece.
Absolutely. We just touched a little bit about, you know, the songs and the music of this anime being really, really well done and inspiring. And that goes into another reason of its own. It's just like, if you want to appreciate the music, then you watch this anime.
Yeah, and they are actually sang and performed by actual artists.
Absolutely.
There'll be a link in the description below if you guys want to check them out, but they're actually really good. It makes you want to discover who these artists are.
And we have discovered
And
them.
we have discovered them, and we're listening to them right now.
Kiss me before sunrise, or I'm leaving you tonight. All is prison, silent demons, feed off fear, infest the mind.
And so, it makes you appreciate the fact that it is kind of like an allegory to real life artists that are out there,
Absolutely.
right? So we're following Carole and Tuesday in their pursuit of being musicians, but on the flip side, there are artists behind these characters who are also, I wouldn't say struggling artists, but they are artists in themselves, and they're trying to be discovered and trying to make it in the world, same as Carole and Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Reason number 3, this is unlike a typical anime. And when I say that, anime has a very, very specific cultural fit. And when I watch anime, I expect, very Japanese-like humor, very Japanese-like dialogue, very Japanese-like narratives, such as the hero's journeys that we're familiar with,
Okay.
the lit RPGs that are just sweeping the world. And this one just feels very much like a TV show I would watch here in America.
Sure.
Or even in the West. And
I think it's a little bit more accessible to Western audiences, is what you're trying to say.
yeah, absolutely. And so when I pay attention to the dialogue and the narrative, it follows a very Western narrative, but the dialogue isn't very heavy on the anime tropes. There's not a lot of like obsessing over like character traits the way that typical anime would, whereas in this show there's not really a standout of character traits. They're just inhabiting a character that wants to pursue their goals, and that's who you get.
And
right?
I think
it's
that's
kind of like a real and grounded interpretation.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I think that's what makes this show most relatable, is because they seem like normal people.
Absolutely.
The characters are not overpowered with anything, or they don't have a special ability, unless, of course, they're talented musicians.
They're not caricatures.
Yeah, they're not caricatures. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. They're not caricatures. You could picture yourselves being in their shoes as you watch the show. That's why it's one of the biggest reasons you should watch it.
Reason number 2, going beyond the relatability of these characters, is it's set in a world that is very, recognizable to us. They reference people like Bruno Mars, Cyndi Lauper, Justin Timberlake, Beatles, all of these artists that we're familiar with, and they even reference Teen Vogue. And so a lot of like the name drops that they're doing in this anime,
Yes.
very recognizable. It feels like we could be in their world, but it's the future, And so like the normal typical anime will do some kind of satire on the world we live in, like Whackdonald's or Burger Queen or Dairy Prince or something along the lines where they're just kind of like parodying the world that we know. But they use real names in this, and they must have paid a pretty penny for at least the likenesses and the mentions of these. They even did a Thriller callback with their music video, and so it just feels like we can live in this world.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
this world lives in us.
Yeah, definitely. Music is part of inspiration, right? And so it must have been inspired by all the artists that the Easter eggs or the call outs that they do in this show.
Yes.
It parallels their individual journeys. And so, like, it's very similar in terms of its relatability, because you can connect to it right away. What if this was like 20, 30, 40 years from now in Mars, and they're just calling back to these artists that have inspired their music, where it's present day? Justin Timberlake. They don't obviously they don't say Timberlake, but they obviously say Justin. You know who that is.
Justin.
They
say the Justin.
or it could be Justin Bieber.
But beyond the musical references, they definitely have an air of Western appeal when it comes to programming, because Mars Brightest is The Voice, America's Got Talent,
American
X
Idol,
Factor,
American Idol.
and so it's kind of like that part at least of part 1 is reminiscent of Sing by Illumination.
Sure.
It's just like an anime version of people who have like everyday normal lives that want to pursue a career in singing and being a musician. And that part of the anime kind of, told that story really well.
And the last reason that this show is so magical is that we just can't get the songs out of our head.
Absolutely.
Can you feel my tears because they won't dry?
Yeah.
That has been in my head for like the past couple days.
Yeah, we talked a lot about music in this anime as reasons, and quite frankly, it's true because this is a musical anime. And the number one reason of the catchiness and the hook of these songs is, because it's just like, first of all, it stays in your head. It's very catchy. You start singing along. And these are songs that you can find in your Spotify library.
And this show is like a battle between machine and the human heart almost, right? Because they're battling against AI-driven music in the show, right? Like AI-driven music versus handwritten songs by actual people. And so you find yourself rooting for the human way of writing a song versus an algorithmic way of creating a hit song.
Absolutely.
But that's why all of the songs in the show is so catchy, is so memorable, because they're like pop songs that you hear in the radio today.
There's a lot of soul in the songs, a lot of emotion, especially when Carole and Tuesday are writing the songs, and sometimes they're kind of whimsical and they start writing a song based on what's happening around them, like Round and Round, when they're just in like the laundromat and just looking at the dryer spin. And, more thoughtful and more hearty songs like Loneliest Girl that just starts from them meeting each other, going back to Carole's place and just kind of jamming, And it was cool that song actually came about from the melody that Carole had always played on the bridge and the lyrics that Tuesday had wrote, being in her situation, being the loneliest girl in her family that is a politician's daughter, and then her brother is going off to do great things at university, and she just wants to be her own person. And so the loneliest girl, probably one of the best songs to come out of an anime for a long time. That might be a very bold statement to make, but I'm gonna make that statement for myself.
Extra credit for you guys. This show actually has an Easter egg related to Cowboy Bebop.
Absolutely. I did not know this when I did my impromptu review on my channel. Was not aware of it, and then we also looked into other information about the anime, and we found out that Alba City
is
a city on Mars that shares the same universe as Cowboy Bebop. And if you're not familiar with when that took place, is when Spike was fighting Vincent. And in the movie, the Cowboy Bebop movie, Knocking on Heaven's Door, they are in Alba City. And it's actually, I think, Carole and Tuesday takes place about a year after the events of that. And so I'm not sure if that is just a Studio Bones thing, or if it actually is part of the universe and it is like just like a offshoot of Cowboy Bebop.
I think it was well intended, to be honest with you, because they have the same kind of structure in between interstitials, or there's like a small break between the episodes where they showcase like an album of the Beatles or U2. It's the same thing with Cowboy Bebop. When they have a small break in the episode, they show an album of a blues hit or a blues single, lyrics from a blues album or a blues song. Very similar. So I think it's very intended, and I didn't think it would be so mind-blowing when we found out about it.
So now, is that an Easter egg in which it's just kind of like a name drop, or is it an Easter egg where it is actually part of the universe? It's an offshoot, a spin-off series, Carole and Tuesday?
I would say it's more of a spin-off. There you go, guys. Mind blown right away. If you're a big fan of Cowboy Bebop, of course, you cannot wait. Anticipation is high for the live-action series, and we're gonna see if they do name drop Carole and Tuesday.
But those were the 5 reasons Carole and Tuesday is a magical anime. Guys, leave it in the comment section down below what you thought of Carole and Tuesday, and if you are going to go on to listen to the artists behind the anime. Also, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when we post new videos. And as always, we'll see you next week.